Hello students, I am Sachitrakar. Welcome to Cars Physics. This is my lecture 15 on electrostatics and we are continuing electric charge and electric field. In lecture 14, we have discussed some applications of Gauss law and this is part 2 on the application of Gauss law. In this lecture, means in this part 2 discussion, we will discuss some other applications of Gauss law. In first case, we are going to find electric field due to uniformly charged wire of infinite length. The length of wire is too long, so you may assume the length of wire is infinity. Okay, and of course, another assumption is there. The area of cross section of the wire is very small. Area of cross section is very small, but length is very large. Means we do take length of wire is infinitely long. Okay. Let's consider this is the wire of infinite length. Okay. This is the wire of infinite length. Infinitely long. This wire carries charge. This is the wire which carries charge. Okay. In this case, let linear charge density of the wire is lambda. Lambda is linear charge density. In previous lecture, we have taken surface charge density and volume charge density. Surface charge density means charge per unit surface area. Volume charge density, charge per unit volume. And here, linear charge density means charge per unit length. Let linear charge density of the wire is lambda and that's equals to Q by L. And obviously its unit will be coulomb per meter. For surface charge density, coulomb per meter square. For volume charge density, coulomb per meter cube in MKS or SI. Okay. Now we have to take the first step to apply Gauss law is first step. We have to assume a Gaussian surface which must enclose some charge. We have to first consider a Gaussian surface which must enclose some charge. Okay. Let's consider a Gaussian surface at a distance r from the axis of the wire. Okay. Then obviously this Gaussian surface will be in the form of a cylinder. All around the wire, this is the Gaussian surface. Okay. So we have taken at a distance r, means if this is the wire, then the Gaussian surface all around the wire will be in the form of a cylinder. And now r is radius of imaginary Gaussian surface. Okay. So this is imaginary Gaussian surface. This is cylindrical form Gaussian surface. Okay. Then electric flux. Electric flux through this Gaussian surface. Okay. So our first step is to consider a Gaussian surface. Then to apply general formula for electric flux, surface integral of A dot dA. Okay. And then we have to use Gauss law, means 1 by epsilon naught times of the charge enclosed. And equating equations, this is for flux, this is for flux. Equating these two equations, we can find electric field. These are the steps how to apply Gauss law. First, we have to consider a Gaussian surface, then we will find flux using this formula, surface integral of E dot dA, then as per Gauss law, flux is 1 by epsilon naught times of the charge enclosed. Then we have to equate these two equations. These are the steps. Okay. Then electric flux through this Gaussian surface. So let's take, this is surface 1, this is surface 2, and the whole curved surface of the cylindrical Gaussian surface, this is surface 3. Okay. For surface area 1, for surface area 1, see students, if this is positively charged wire, then electric field all around the wire will be in outward direction. For this Gaussian surface, electric field will be in outward direction. Okay. But electric flux for surface area 1, this is first surface. So for this area, this is the direction of electric field. Okay. So now let's consider an elemental surface, means a very small surface area on this cross-sectional area of the cylinder. Then obviously area vector, means direction of this elemental area vector will be perpendicular to the surface and outward direction. Okay. Now angle between E and elemental surface area vector is 90 degree. Then for surface area 1, phi is surface integral of E dot d, means flux is surface integral of E dA cos 90, so flux is 0. And similarly, we may also use this form for surface area 2. For surface area 2, again you may consider electric field either towards right or towards left. For this surface area also, this is direction of electric field, or this is the direction of electric field, and this is the elemental area which is in outward direction, this is dA. Again here theta is 90 degree, means for surface area 1 and surface area 2, for both these surfaces flux is 0. So if flux is 0, then flux is E into dA, means flux is 0, E dA cos 90 is 0, then electric field will be 0. Okay. Since flux is E dot dA, E dA cos 90, flux is 0, then where there is no flux, there is no electric field. Okay. Then as per our general equation, E into A, total flux is equal to Q by epsilon naught. If flux is 0, means Q by epsilon naught is 0, then electric field is 0. Then for surface area 1 and for surface area 2, electric field is 0. Okay. Then for surface area 3, okay, so we have got electric field for these two surfaces is 0. Of course, you know another point. Okay, if electric field is parallel to the surface, then no flux links with the surface. Okay, means angle between surface area vector and electric field vector is 90 degree. Okay, then for this curved surface, now let's consider this is an elemental area. Okay, this is the elemental area, then direction of elemental area vector is dA. For closed surface, direction of area vector is in outward direction. Also, this is the direction of electric field. Then for surface 3, for surface 3, flux is surface integral of E dot dA. So here there is flux phi 1 is 0, here there is flux phi 2 is 0. So electric field in both the surfaces is 0. Flux for surface 3, that's equals to surface integral of EDA cos 0 degree, since here electric field and elemental area vector are in same direction. So theta is 0 degree. Both are in same direction. Okay. Then flux is equal to surface integral of EDA, and here flux is equal to E. Surface integral of dA is A, and here for this Gaussian surface all around the wire, let length of this imaginary Gaussian surface is L. Let's consider, and distance from the axis of the wire is R, means R is radius of imaginary Gaussian cylindrical surface. Then its surface area is E into length is L, radius of area of cross section is R, then total area is 2 pi RL. This is flux also. According to Gauss law, flux is Q divided by epsilon naught. Okay. Now this is equation 1, this is equation 2. Now equating equations 1 and 2. Equating equations 1 and 2, this is flux, this is flux. E into 2 pi RL is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught, and electric field is Q divided by 2 pi epsilon naught RL. This is your formula. Okay. But we have assumed this wire has uniform linear charge density. Let lambda. So linear charge density is charge per unit length. Then here this formula can be converted like this. Q by L is linear charge density. Then we may take lambda, Q by L is lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught R, where R is distance from the axis of wire in outward direction, means all around the wire. Okay. And here, as the relation shows, for surface 1 electric field is 0. Okay, because flux is 0, electric field is parallel to the surface. For surface 2, again electric field is parallel to the surface, so flux links with the surface 1 and surface area 2 is 0. For whole curved surface, means for surface area 3, for whole curved surface electric field is given as Q divided by 2 pi epsilon naught RL, or electric field is lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught R, where lambda is uniform linear charge density, and the relation shows electric field varies inversely as the distance from the axis of wire. Then the required graph. Variation of electric field with distance, this is 0. Let's consider this is axis of the wire. This line is at position 0. Then this is variation of electric field. Okay. This is about electric field due to uniformly charged wire of infinite length, and lambda is uniform linear charge density. Okay. The next application. Next application is similar application, but we are taking here a cylinder, charged cylinder. Okay. Electric field due to, we may take solid conducting cylinder, or we may take hollow insulating cylinder, cylindrical cell, or we may take hollow conducting cylindrical cell. So for all these our answer will be same. Electric field due to hollow, electric field due to solid conducting cylinder, or hollow insulating cylindrical cell, or hollow conducting cylindrical cell. Okay, for all answer will be same. Okay, why? Let's consider this is a solid cylinder. This is a solid cylinder. Of course, we may take up infinite length. Okay, so this is a solid cylinder. This is a conducting cylinder. The first case, solid conducting cylinder of infinite length. Length is infinite, up to infinite. The upward length is also up to infinite. So this is axis of cylinder. Left, radius of the cylinder is r. This is solid conducting cylinder which is charged. But as we know, if charge is given to a conductor, no charge remains inside it. Whole charge is distributed on the surface of the charged conducting body. So here, whole charge is distributed on the surface. This is distribution of charge. Okay. Then this is for solid conducting cylinder. So there is no charge inside the conducting body. Whole charge is distributed on the surface. Okay. If you take a hollow insulating cylindrical cell, this is insulating. Let's now assume this is insulating cylindrical cell, but hollow. So if it is hollow, there is no material particle inside the cylinder. If there is no particle, there will be no charge inside the insulating hollow cylinder. Okay, then also charge will be distributed on the surface. And final case, if you take hollow conducting cylindrical cell, again the same thing, inside which there is no material, also it is conducting, so whole charge will be distributed on the surface. Okay, now radius of cross sectional area of the cylinder is r. Okay, first case, number 1, inside the cylinder, inside the cylinder at a distance r, if r is less than r. See students, in previous lecture we have taken r is any distance, small r, radius is capital R, inside the cylinder means small r is less than capital R. Okay, our first step, let's imagine a Gaussian surface inside the cylinder. So this is axis of cylinder. Let's imagine this is the Gaussian surface inside the cylinder. Okay, radius of this Gaussian surface, let r, and here small r is less than capital R. This radius is capital R, and radius of this imaginary Gaussian surface is small r is less than capital R. Okay, now this is surface 1, this is surface 2, and this is surface, this is 1, this is 2, and the curved surface, this curved surface of cylinder of radius r is 3. This is third surface, curved surface. Let length of this imaginary Gaussian surface is L. Okay, so the first thing for surface 1, see, inside the cylinder, this is the cylinder of radius capital R. Inside the cylinder there is no charge, so there is no electric field. Of course, electric field is in outward direction and uniform. everywhere, symmetric, okay. Symmetric. For this surface, see, this is the direction of electric field, but not inside. And this is the elemental area which is in outward direction. This is dA, and here theta is 90 degree. So if theta is 90, then d phi is equal to EDA cos 90. So d phi is 0, means integration of d phi is flux is 0 per surface 1. Here also electric field is in outward direction. This is elemental area, direction is outward. This is dA. Again theta is 90 degree, and similarly for surface 2 flux is 0. For surface 1 flux is 0, for surface 2 flux is 0. So for surface 1 electric field is 0. Where there is no flux, there is no electric field. For surface 2 electric field is 0. So for these two surfaces electric field is 0, for surface 1 and surface 2. For the curved surface 3, see, this is the elemental area, direction of elemental area is dA, and this is also direction of electric field in outward direction. You may take on this side also, this is dA, this is electric field. You may take any side, okay. Then for surface 3, here phi 1 is equal to phi 2 is equal to 0 for surface 1 and surface 2. This is phi 1, this is phi 2. So for surface 3, surface area 3, d phi is equal to E vector dot elemental area vector. Since both are in same direction, d phi is equal to EDA cos 0 degree. So d phi is EDA. To get total flux, let's take surface integral. E is brought outside, whole surface integral. Then this is flux. Flux is equal to E into A. But for surface 3, for whole surface, there is no flux. Why? Because there is no charge inside the body. So here flux is 0, EA is 0, again electric field is 0 for surface 3. For surface 1, electric field is 0. For surface 2, electric field is 0. For surface 3, also electric field is 0. Okay. Thus, inside the cylinder, resulting electric field means total electric field is 0. Okay. Simple thought. Inside the cylinder, there is no charge, may be conducting, may be hollow spherical shell. If you consider insulating or non-conducting cylinder but hollow, there is no particle, there is no charge. For solid conducting cylinder, there is no charge inside the cylinder. So if there is no charge, there is no electric field. Okay. So inside the cylinder, electric field is 0. Now number 2, outside the cylinder. Okay. To consider or to find electric field outside the cylinder, again the first step, we have to consider an imaginary Gaussian surface which must enclose a charge. But inside the cylinder, we have taken a Gaussian surface, but here net charge is 0, for which inside the cylinder there is no electric field. Okay. Now I will erase all these inside the cylinder. Okay. Now we will find electric field outside the cylinder. Okay. Again, this is R, radius of cross section of the cylinder. Okay. This is axis of cylinder. Okay. Let's consider at a distance R, smaller. At a distance smaller, we imagine an imaginary Gaussian surface like this. this is imaginary Gaussian surface. Okay. This radius is smaller, okay, outside the cylinder. This radius is smaller, and this is the imaginary Gaussian surface of radius smaller, but here smaller outside the cylinder, small r is greater than capital R. Okay, so again electric field lines for the imaginary Gaussian surface will be outward like this. These are directions of electric field symmetric. These are directions of electric field. Okay, this is the imaginary Gaussian surface of radius r. Okay, now this is the surface of Gaussian surface. Let this surface is 1. This is the surface. This surface is 2. And the curved surface is 3. For surface 1 and surface 2. For surface 1 means this cross-sectional area and this cross-sectional area. Electric field is outward. If you consider an elemental area, then direction of area vector is outward. This is dA, and here theta is 90 degree. Also for this Gaussian surface, electric field is outward. If you consider an elemental area on this cross-sectional area, direction of elemental area vector is outward. For closed surface, direction of area vector is outward. Again here theta is 90 degree, here theta is 90 degree. For both the surfaces, flux is surface integral of E dot dA, that's equals to surface integral of E dA cos 90. So for both the surface 1 and surface 2, flux is 0, so electric field is 0. Okay, again you know, if electric field is parallel to surface area, this is surface area, electric field is parallel. This is surface area, electric field is parallel. If electric field is parallel to surface area, then no flux links with the surface. Okay, thus flux is 0. Thus electric field is 0. Okay, then for surface 3. Okay, then for surface 1 and surface 2, flux links is 0 and electric field is 0. For surface 3 means for this whole surface area. Okay, for this whole surface area, the remaining surface area is 3. We have to find electric field. That will be resulting electric field. Means electric field for surface 1 and surface 2 is 0. Remaining surface is surface 3. Okay, here first consideration, let sigma is uniform surface charge density. See students, for a solid conducting cylinder, charge will be distributed on the surface. For a hollow insulating cylindrical cell or hollow conducting cylindrical cell, charge will be distributed on the surface of cylinder of radius capital R. So sigma is uniform surface charge density, means charge per unit surface area. So electric field is 0. So sigma is uniform surface charge density, means charge per unit surface area. This is the imaginary Gaussian surface of radius smaller, but radius of this cylinder is capital R. Okay, then uniform surface charge density, charge per unit area is 2 pi r. Length we have taken, this length is L. Radius is capital R. For actual cylinder, radius is capital R, on which charge resides. On this cylinder, charge resides. Okay, this is a cylinder, radius is smaller. This is imaginary Gaussian surface. So charge is on this cylinder of radius capital R. If we take length L, this is infinite long. Okay, if you take length L, then area is 2 pi r into length is L. Then outside the cylinder, similarly, this is surface 1, this is surface 2, flux is 0. For surface 3, flux is surface integral of E dot dA, and here for this surface area 3, you may take this side also. This is direction of electric field, and this is, if you take elemental area dA, this is direction of area vector in outward direction, and electric field area vector along this direction also. This is dA, this is electric field. Okay, so electric field and area vector are in same direction, so angle is 0 degree. So surface integral of E dA cos 0 degree. So flux is E, bring it outside, surface integral of dA, and that's equals to E into A. And flux is equal to electric field into area of this curved surface. See, for Gaussian surface, radius is smaller, length is L, then surface area is 2 pi RL. This is flux. Okay. According to Gauss, can I erase this one? According to Gauss, flux is 1 by epsilon naught times of the charge enclosed. Then this is equation 1, this is equation 2. Now equating equations 1 and 2, E into 2 pi RL is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times of the charge enclosed, and finally electric field will be Q by 2 pi epsilon naught RL. It appears as the results of the previous case, but the result will change. Okay, then what is charge? We have taken surface charge density, sigma is equal to Q by 2 pi RL. Now we have to put this value here. Okay, for outside the surface. Okay, electric field is Q. Q is sigma into 2 pi RL, sigma into 2 pi RL divided by 2 pi epsilon naught RL. L get cancelled, 2 pi get cancelled, then electric field is sigma R divided by epsilon naught R. Okay, this is the formula where outside the surface, this is the surface, outside the surface means small r greater than capital R. If you want to get what is electric field on the surface, then will I erase this on the surface? This is outside the cylinder, on the surface. On the surface, R is equal to capital R. So electric field will be sigma R divided by epsilon naught small r. We may put capital R. So sigma divided by epsilon naught. Okay. Now the required graph. Okay. This is the actual cylinder. Of infinite length. And radius of the cylinder is capital R. Okay. This is axis of the cylinder. We have to start our graph variation between electric field and distance. Distance is any distance r. On the axis C, this distance is r may be equals to 0. If value of r is 0, then we will come to axis of the cylinder. Okay. Inside the cylinder, charge is distributed on the surface. Inside the cylinder, there is no electric field. So electric field is 0 on the axis of cylinder. On the surface, r is equal to capital R. From axis to surface, there is no electric field. Electric field inside it is 0. From axis to a distance capital R. On the surface, we got electric field is sigma divided by epsilon naught. This is the formula. Sigma divided by epsilon naught on the surface. But outside the surface means if r is greater than smaller, onwards from r is equal to r, then electric field is sigma capital R divided by epsilon naught r. This shows that electric field inversely proportional to distance. Okay. Then if this is epsilon, sigma by epsilon naught on the surface, then from this electric field will go on decreasing if r is greater than capital R. Electric field inversely proportional to distance. This is variation of electric field with distance from the axis of cylinder. Maybe conducting solid cylinder, maybe hollow non-conducting cylinder or due to hollow non-conducting or insulating cylindrical cell, or due to hollow conducting cylindrical cell. For all, answer is same. So again, inside the cylinder, electric field is 0. On the surface, if radius is capital R, on the surface electric field is sigma divided by epsilon naught, where sigma is charge per unit surface area, 2 pi RL. Okay, we have considered length is L for Gaussian surface. Okay, but length of this cylinder is infinite, so charge per unit length is sigma. Okay, a charge per unit surface area, surface charge density. In previous case it was linear charge density, here this is surface charge density. Okay, then outside the surface, electric field, as we get sigma r divided by epsilon naught small r. Okay, this is all about for this case. Okay, next case. Then this is the final case in this lecture 15. Okay, now we have to find electric field due to a solid non-conducting cylinder with uniform volume distribution of charge. The solid cylinder is made up of non-conducting material or with dielectric material. As we know previously, if charge is given to a conductor, then no charge remains inside the surface of the body, but total charge is distributed on the surface of the body. Okay, but if charge is given to a non-conducting body or insulating body, or the material of the body is a dielectric substance, then charge may reside inside the body. Okay, so this is the case of uniform volume distribution of charge. Okay, let's imagine this is a cylinder, solid cylinder. Okay, of course we may take a solid cylinder of infinite length. So this is the solid cylinder of infinite length. This is solid. Okay, let radius of area of cross section of the cylinder is r. This is center of area of cross section. This is the area of cross section and length is infinite, of infinite length. Okay, so we have considered a part of cylinder, means length is infinite, we have considered a part of cylinder. Okay, then as that of previous case, let's find electric field inside the cylinder. Electric field inside the cylinder. Okay, again I would like to repeat the discussion. When we will find electric field by applying Gauss law, the first step we have to consider a Gaussian surface, and that Gaussian surface must enclose a charge. If the Gaussian surface doesn't enclose any charge, then flux through the surface is zero, since flux inside the surface is 1 by epsilon naught times of the charge enclosed. Since if the Gaussian surface doesn't enclose any charge, then flux is zero, and obviously electric field is zero. Where there is electric flux, there must be electric field. Okay, since if we consider Gaussian surface without containing any charge, then flux is zero and electric field is zero, as that of we have discussed in previous cases. So now inside the surface, okay, this is the case where charge is uniformly distributed throughout the volume of the cylinder. Okay, let's assume charge is distributed uniformly in the volume of the cylinder, and we have considered a part of cylinder. Let length of this part is L. To get electric field inside the cylinder, let's first take an imaginary Gaussian surface inside the cylinder. Okay, so this is axis of cylinder. Radius of the cylinder is r. Let's imagine a Gaussian surface inside the cylinder. Okay, we have taken an imaginary cylinder as Gaussian surface inside the charged cylinder. Okay, let radius of this cylinder is smaller, and here small r is less than capital R. Okay, so inside the cylinder, this radius of cross section is smaller, and radius of cross sectional area of the given charged cylinder is capital R, and here small r is less than capital R, and this is axis of cylinder. Okay, since there is volume distribution of charge, this imaginary Gaussian surface encloses a charge. Then what's the charge enclosed by this surface? Okay, volume distribution of charge, let's take rho. Rho is uniform volume charge density. In first case, we have taken linear charge density lambda, charge per unit length, and then we took surface charge density, charge per unit surface area, and here uniform volume charge density. Then charge density is uniform. Okay, so charge density, charge per unit volume. Okay, so inside this imaginary Gaussian surface, charge density is rho. Let charge inside it is q dash, total charge. Due to volume distribution of charge, total charge inside this imaginary Gaussian surface is q dash. Then volume of this imaginary Gaussian surface, let's take This length is L. Okay. This length is L dash. This length is L dash. Okay. Then volume is area of cross section pi r square into length L dash. Then charge Q dash is equal to rho into pi r square into length of this imaginary Gaussian surface. Okay. Now, as that of the previous cases, this imaginary Gaussian surface, which is a cylinder, we may consider it has three surfaces. These are two surfaces, area of cross section, and this is curved surface. So for this surface, electric field is outward. And if we consider an elemental surface, then this area vector, means elemental area vector, is directed in outward direction. This is cross-sectional area, and direction of elemental area vector is in outward direction. Okay. Then angle between electric field and elemental area vector theta is 90 degree. For this surface also, this is direction of electric field. And if we take elemental area dA, then direction of elemental area vector is outward direction. As we have discussed, for a closed surface, direction of area vector is always outward. So here also, angle between electric field and elemental area vector is 90 degree. Let flux for this cross-sectional area is phi 1, and for this cross-sectional area is phi 2. Sorry, this is not the surface, very sorry. This is electric field parallel to the surface. Okay, and this is direction of elemental area vector. This is dA. Again here theta is 90 degree. This is not true. This is. So for this surface, let flux is phi 2. And as we know, flux is for these two surfaces, phi 1 is equal to phi 2. That's equals to surface integral of E dot dA. And in both cases, angle between electric field and elemental area vector is 90 degree. And this is surface integral of E dA cos 90, which is 0. Thus phi 1 is equal to phi 2 is equal to 0 for these two cross-sectional areas. So if flux is 0, obviously electric field for these two surface areas is 0. Here electric field 0, here also electric field 0. Then remaining surface is the curved surface of this imaginary Gaussian cylinder. We have to find the electric field due to this curved surface. Okay. Let's consider an elemental area. On this curved surface, direction of elemental area is dA, and also electric field is E. You may take along this side also. Symmetrically, you may represent the electric field in all directions. Okay. If you imagine this is a cylinder, this is direction of electric field. From this curved surface, outward, 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 outward. So in all direction of electric field, outward. Okay. So here, this is direction of electric field, this is direction of elemental area, this is also direction of electric field, and if you take this is elemental area, this is direction dA. So here angle between electric field and elemental area vector in for both the sides or for all sides, theta is 0 degree. Means electric field and elemental area vector are in same direction. So for these two surfaces, electric field is 0. Since flux is 0, means E1 is equal to E2 is equal to 0 for these two surfaces. Of course, you know students, if electric field is parallel to the surface area, then no flux links with the surface, then electric field is 0. So this is surface 1, this is surface 2, this is surface 3. Means for curved surface, we have taken surface area 3. Then here, for this curved surface, d phi is equal to surface integral of E dot dA. Okay, sorry, this is flux phi. So phi is equal to surface integral of E dA cos 0 for the curved surface. Okay, then flux is equal to E surface integral of dA cos 0 is 1, then flux is E into whole surface area, means curved surface area C. Radius of this Gaussian surface is R, length we have taken L, then area is 2 pi R L, equation 1. This is flux. Okay, then according to Gauss, flux is 1 by epsilon naught times of the charge enclosed. Thus this is equation 2, this is flux, this is flux. Now let's equate equation 2. Okay, then E into 2 pi RL is equal to, right side, Q divided by epsilon naught. Let's take it Q dash inside the surface. Okay, this length is L dash, so let's take here L dash. This is also L dash. Okay, then E into 2 pi RL dash is equal to Q dash. From this you can get Q dash means charge enclosed by this imaginary Gaussian surface. Total charge is Q dash. Then Q dash will be rho volume charge density into pi R square L dash. Pi R square L dash divided by epsilon naught. See, pi get cancel, R cancels square. Okay, L dash get cancel, then electric field is rho R divided by 2 epsilon naught. This is electric field inside the surface. So electric field inside the cylinder. I may write here the final answer. Electric field volume, uniform volume charge density rho into R divided by 2 epsilon naught. Okay, now the relation shows that inside the cylinder, which is uniformly volume where there is a uniform volume distribution of charge, electric field varies directly as the distance, means distance R, means if this is axis of cylinder, this is R. Okay, if R increases, then electric field increases linearly. Okay, then next case, electric field outside the cylinder, Okay, this is about inside the cylinder. Now let's change the diagram. Okay, outside the cylinder, this is the charged sphere of infinite length. This is axis of cylinder. Length is infinite. Now let's consider a part of cylinder of length L, and as we have taken radius of cross-sectional area of the cylinder is R, and this cylinder is charged uniformly, means uniform volume distribution of charge, and this is the cylinder made up of insulating or non-conducting material. Now electric field outside the cylinder. Okay, let's again take to apply Gauss law, we have to take imaginary Gaussian surface. Okay, this is axis of cylinder at a distance R, means here small r is greater than capital R. Capital R is radius of cylinder, and small r is the distance from axis to a point which is outside the cylinder at a distance r. Let's imagine a Gaussian surface. Okay. This length is L. Okay. This is the imaginary Gaussian surface. Obviously, this will be a cylindrical surface. Okay. Then, radius of this imaginary cylinder is R. Okay. This is top cross-sectional area. This is also cross-sectional area. Let's take this length is L dash. Okay. L dash means this length is also L dash. Okay. Of course, we may reduce this. This is actual cylinder. Okay. This is actual cylinder. Radius of this cylinder is R. This is total radius is R for Gaussian surface, and this is our cylinder of radius R. We have taken length L. Okay. Take same length to have easier calculation. Okay. So now charge means according to general expression d phi is equal to E vector dot dA vector, and phi is surface integral of EdA. Let's consider this surface, first surface. Here, as you have observed, this is direction of electric field, and if you take elemental area dA, then this is direction of dA. Again, angle between E and dA is theta. Theta is 90 degrees. This is also similar case. This is direction of electric field parallel to the surface, and if you take elemental area, this is direction of elemental area vector dA. Again, theta is 90 degrees. So for these two surfaces, this is cross-sectional area on the top part, this is cross-sectional area opposite to the upper part. Okay. Then for both cases, angle between E and dA is 90 degree. So this is surface integral of EdA cos 90. So for both these surfaces, let this flux is phi 1, this flux on this surface is phi 2, then phi is 0, means we may write phi 1 is equal to phi 2 is equal to 0. Then for these two surfaces, flux linking with the surface is 0, and you know the general consideration. If electric field is parallel to surface area, then no flux links with the surface, and since electric field is Q, electric field is flux is 0. Okay, flux linking with these two surfaces is 0. Okay, where there is no flux, there is no electric field. So electric field linking on the surface is 0 because there is no flux on the surface and no flux on this surface. So for both surfaces, if you take electric field E1 on the surface, E2 on the surface, then E1 is equal to E2 is equal to 0. The similar case. Okay. This is the surface, the total surface. The total surface. Okay. Okay. Radius is smaller. Radius is smaller. Okay. For this Gaussian surface, radius is smaller, but radius of this cylinder is capital R. Okay. Radius of cylinder is capital R. Okay. Then for surface 3 means for whole curved surface. Okay. For these two surfaces means area of cross section, electric field is 0 since flux phi 1 and phi 2 0. Then the cylinder has three surfaces: top surface, bottom surface, and the curved surface. Now for curved surface, we have taken this surface area is 3. Okay, then inside the cylinder we have got the relation, and we are continuing outside the cylinder. The remaining surface is 3. Okay, now let's imagine this is an elemental area. This is L, students, not L dash L. Okay, so this is elemental area. Direction of elemental area dA and direction of electric field is also perpendicular. Since charge is positive, electric field is outward. So you may take number of electric field lines dA, 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 and in every case angle between A vector and dA vector is 0 degree. Of course, you can take along this side also by taking elemental area dA and electric field also E in all points. Okay, just imagine this is cylinders, this is Gaussian surface. All around the Gaussian surface, electric field and both area vector are in radially outward direction. Okay, then as we know, flux is equal to surface integral of E dot d, and for surface 3, the surface area 3, angle between electric field and elemental area vector is 0 degree since they are in same direction. So this is surface integral of E dA cos 0 degree. Okay, then flux is equal to E surface integral of dA, so that's equals to E into A. So flux is equal to E into area, means the curved surface area of imaginary Gaussian surface. Radius is R, length is L, so surface area is 2 pi RL, equation 1. Then also flux is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times of the charge enclosed in accordance with Gauss law. But charge is enclosed in the cylinder in which there is uniform volume distribution of charge. The cylinder of cross-sectional area with radius small r, that is Gaussian surface. But the cylinder with cross-sectional area radius r is the cylinder which is charged. I think this diagram is not looking good. This is our actual cylinder to which charge is given. Radius of this cylinder is capital R. This is imaginary Gaussian surface. This is imaginary Gaussian surface. Okay, which has radius smaller. This whole radius is smaller. Okay, charge is in this cylinder to which charge is given, but this is uniform volume distribution of charge, and this part of length is L we have taken. Then as we have taken, rho is uniform volume charge density, means this is charge per unit volume. See students, when we were taking inside the cylinder a Gaussian surface, in this cylindrical region amount of charge is less as compared to the whole cylinder of radius capital R. Okay, then charge is Q, surface area of this part of cylinder of radius of area of cross section capital R, length L, then area is, volume is pi r square into L. Okay, then in place of Q we can write flux is equal to, in place of Q we can write uniform volume charge density into pi r square L divided by epsilon naught. This is equation 2. Now equating equation 1 and 2, E into 2 pi RL is equal to volume charge density pi R square L divided by epsilon naught. Okay. L get cancelled, pi get cancelled, then final answer electric field is volume charge density rho into R square divided by 2 epsilon naught into R. E into 2 pi R RL, Gaussian surface area is 2 pi RL. Okay, this is right. Then Q is rho into pi R square L divided by epsilon naught. E into 2 pi RL is equal to rho into pi R square L by epsilon naught. Pi cancel, L cancel. Okay, then electric field rho into R square divided by, okay, and this shows that electric field inversely proportional to distance. Inside, electric field varies directly as distance. Outside the cylinder, electric field inversely proportional to square of distance. This is outside the cylinder. Okay. Now, if you want to get on the surface, then obviously on the surface R is any arbitrary distance small r. On the surface small r is equal to capital R. This is the surface. Small r is extended. If you are taking Gaussian surface outside the cylinder, on the surface small r is equal to capital R. Okay. Then this relation, electric field on the surface rho R square divided by 2 epsilon naught into R. Then electric field is rho R divided by 2 epsilon naught, and it's a constant factor. Volume charge density is constant, radius of the original cylinder is constant, then epsilon naught. Then the required graphs. Okay. Outside the cylinder, inside the cylinder. Okay, we will take different cases. Okay, I'm erasing this diagram for clarity of graphical representation. Let's take, this is our uniformly volume distributed cylinder of infinite length. This is axis of cylinder. This is radius of the cylinder. Okay, R is any distance. Okay, we are starting our graphical representation from axis. Okay, variation of electric field with distance. See students, R is any distance starting from axis. If value of R is 0, then we will come to axis. Okay. Then inside the cylinder, electric field directly proportional to distance. Okay. Electric field directly proportional to distance. Since there is charge inside the cylinder, there must be electric field. So electric field directly proportional to distance. On the surface, electric field is rho R divided by 2 epsilon 0 on the surface. See, here small r is capital R, and this is value of electric field, means rho R divided by 2 epsilon naught. Okay. Then outside the surface, this is on the surface, this is on the surface, then outside the surface, this is relation for electric field with distance R. E inversely proportional to R, then this will be our graph. Outside the surface, here R is greater than R, then electric field inversely proportional to distance from the axis of the cylinder. Okay, this is the end of lecture 14. In next lecture, this is part 2, as we have discussed. This is part 2 of application of Gauss law. In next lecture, in lecture 16, remaining part is there, application of Gauss law. Then finally, we'll approach some numericals which will be applicable for your regular studies and as well as for your competitive standard numericals. Okay, what we have already discussed. Okay, thank you students. Thank you for your sincere support. Thanks.